A Muslim American goes on a crazy rant on board a Delta flight, accusing the airline of racism after being thrown off the plane. Watch him here.
We spoke a different language on the plane, and now we're getting kicked out.
That's insane.
Now we're getting kicked out. Delta Airlines are kicking us out because we spoke a different language. You guys are racist. I cannot believe my eyes. I cannot believe it. I spoke a word, a different language, and you said you feel uncomfortable? And there's 6 white people against us bearded men? 6 white people against us bearded men. How did you kick them out? I feel uncomfortable. Thank you so
being kicked out.
Thank you so much,
why
man.
are those white people complaining about these people speaking in a different
Thank you, I
language?
appreciate it.
I am upset that that's happening. Really
Thank
upset.
you so much. You should kick them out. They cursed us out.
I feel uncomfortable. Anyway, Delta's refuting this man's claim, saying he was thrown off because he was shouting and he was being disruptive. I mean, as you can kind of clearly see in this video, I mean, I guess they might have come to him right before it, but it had nothing to do with him speaking Arabic, they said. So here's the skinny on it. It turns out this guy you're looking at, he's a YouTube star who's pulled similar pranks. Joining me right now, the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, and National Security and Foreign Policy Analyst, Arash, Ari Aramesh. Good to see both you guys.
Thank you.
You know, Dr. Jasser, I believe Delta in this one. I absolutely believe him. But it does beg the question. Everyone keeps telling us we're supposed to report strange behavior. But when you got folks like this joker, and that's what he is, some YouTube joker, out there accusing people of being Islamophobic, that is effectively why people are afraid to come forward. They're afraid of being labeled. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that this may not be militant terrorism, but what this guy is doing is a form of cultural or civilizational terrorism, or jihadism, if you will, because he's trying to basically exert this mockery, separate us Muslims out, make Muslims into being not an idea, but an identification. And it's basically dangerous to us as a community. We need to fight this and no longer just be about the grievance mill, about the victimization, but rather say, you know what, the best way to melt away fear of Muslims, fear of Islam, is for Americans to see us lead the reform, not to do things like this, where all they see us is exploit this culture that gives us freedom in order to make Americans feel sort of politically correct and bigoted, when in fact he's the one that should be on a no-fly list. And that's actually what I hope comes out of this. This guy has been exploiting airlines, as have others who have been lying about various activities in order to become victims rather than leaders.
You're calling on the Muslim community to do more. Mr. Aramesh, I know that Dr. Jasser has been out there asking members of that community to participate in this reform that he's trying to get them on board with. But Dr. Jasser, you haven't gotten a lot of support. We'll get to that in a minute. But why is the Muslim community resisting this? I mean, why do they want to say, Mr. Aramesh, it's us that are the victims here?
You should ask that from Zuhdi Jasser, who is an Arab Muslim American. I'm not, so he's best equipped to answer that question. But let me go back to what happened on the plane. You know, if you act like a jackass on a plane, you deserve to get kicked out and kicked off the plane. Having said that, the reason this is an issue now is because on numerous occasions in the past, people who were speaking Arabic or a different language, especially Arabic, and looked a certain way, were asked to leave that plane because some people on the plane felt uncomfortable. Not only that, but just over the weekend, a mother and a daughter at JCPenney were harassed by another woman because they spoke Spanish. Now, we are a great country because of our diversity. We are a great country because we have people here who speak 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. If you want to fight terror, if you want to recruit intelligence officers and officers in the clandestine service, who do you recruit? You go to people who understand a language and know a culture, and those are the people who make amazing intelligence officers and are loyal to the flag and are experts in the field.
So what's your point?
I ask Zuhdi this.
What's your point?
My point is this. I asked Zuhdi, if you can't get my point after what I just told you, here's my question for
Sum it up. I don't have a ton of time. Give it to me in bullets.
My point is next time Zuhdi Jasser, a former Navy officer and a medical doctor, sits on a plane, picks up the phone, and talks in Arabic with his mother, and someone gets offended or gets scared How
Okay,
would
so
he
you
feel
actually
if he
you
got
believe the
off
guy.
that plane?
That's what you're saying. You believe the guy. This is actually what happened, or you're
I'm
saying if this
has
scenario were to happen,
happened. This guy
you think
could be a
Americans
jackass.
are that
Trish,
racist, and they're
you
going to say,
didn't hear
"I
me
want him
or you
off the plane."
ignored to hear
Well,
me.
then
You
give
either
it to me
didn't hear
again.
me or you ignored to hear me.
Arash,
I said
give
he's a
it to me
jackass.
again. What
I said he's
is
a
your
jackass.
point?
Did you hear that part? Did you hear that part? That he's a jackass. I'm saying there's something called the Constitution. You can't just kick people off the plane because you feel uncomfortable because they have a beard or they speak Hebrew or they speak Arabic or they speak Yiddish or Russian. You can't do that. And I want to ask
And what I'm
Zoe,
saying
how
to
would
you is the
feel?
entire
How would
world
you
is
feel?
out there saying, be more vigilant. And we're talking about this story at hand, this particular story. You got idiots like this guy who you used an appropriate word for, and they're really threatening the entire system. You're off on
Do you
another
wanna call
tangent.
the
I'm on this
FBI
story.
every
You're on
time you
another
hear
story.
someone speaking
I see
Arabic?
where you're going
Do you
because
wanna
you just
hear-
want to slam everybody who might be a little bit concerned about the fact that we have an Islamic threat amongst us. But Dr. Jasser is in the trenches. He's dealing with this on a regular basis, trying to get people in the community to come on board with some kind of reform. And Dr. Jasser, you're not seeing a willingness there from that community.
Right, and it's because the dominant bandwidth has been this victimization, the grievance mill, that we are victims of the bigots, and we're not even getting to the deeper issue. And I'm sorry, we are smarter than this conversation that you know, his focus as a security analyst is about speaking Arabic. Yeah, I speak Arabic, and I'm smart enough to know that if somebody's fearful, that phobia is not irrational. It's rational because of the last 300 acts of terrorism. 1% of the population has been responsible for over 90% of that. So therefore, I think smart police work should include some type of profiling, and that doesn't violate my civil rights. It simply is smart police work. And I, as a Muslim, say my duty as an American to fight that is to let Americans see that I'm not going to be a victim, but a leader in saying that this is a problem that we need to solve. And we're done with simply telling Americans that we are the victims, but actually we are the problem that needs to reform the ideas that are creating this radicalism. And by the way, this type of profiling issue, when it's exaggerated, actually radicalizes. These videos, these individuals, Council on American Islamic Relations, is the first step in radicalizing Muslims instead of actually reforming them.
All right. Well, Dr. Jasser, that I understood. Clear, concise, your point well taken. Thank you so much. Good to see you both,
you.
as always. We're going to be right back.